What if the biggest thing standing between you and your next level is you? Today on Leveraging Success, I'm sitting down with Luke Crowley, executive coach with Novus Global, keynote speaker, and someone who's helped leaders across startups, global tech firms, and even aerospace companies remove the lid on themselves. Luke came up through the world of church leadership, discovered coaching at a moment of real personal crisis, and hasn't looked back. We're talking ROI, blind spots, faith, and what it actually means to lead with confidence instead of certainty. Let's go. Hey, Luke Crowley, welcome to the Leveraging Success podcast. I'm really glad to have you here today.
Hey, thank you. Glad to
Man,
be here. Glad to be
yeah,
here.
we got to be friends over the last 6 months because at first we met each other at the Meta Performance Institute, which for me, the very first session just started to immediately impact me. It was awesome. And here today, you and I are sitting as Novus Global coaches. So we've been on quite the journey together, and I'm glad it's been with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I still remember, I think it was day 1 or 2 that the instruction was go find someone in the room that you think is different from you. And I was like, there's some similarities, but there's got to be something different about this guy. And plus, I just think he seems interesting. So our connection was early on.
Right. I remember that. And I think one of the great things that we got to discover about each other is that we both care deeply about Jesus. We've been on a faith journey. Tell me a little bit about your faith journey because as everyone's already heard, I've said about you that you're an incredible pastor who decided that he would be best serving the world as a coach. So I want to unpack what that means and how you got to that answer. But tell me a little bit about your faith journey itself.
Well, I grew up in a family that was very connected to church and very connected to Jesus. And so this probably isn't the most helpful language, but I say I never had a sabbatical season where personally I walked away from faith. And I think that was largely in part to finding my place in church from a young age. And I've been playing drums my whole life, playing music my whole life. And so in the context of church that I was a part of, there was always place for you, a space for you, if that's what you were up to. And so me and my buds were connected closely, and that just opened the door for some pretty wonderful encounters with Jesus from a young age. And so that was the start. And I would have been probably somewhere around middle school time, probably a number of summer camps or moments on church teams that something started stirring in me that said, hey, I want to do more than just participate in this. And yeah, very involved in ministry. And there was a desire to do that vocationally. And so that was kind of the start that led to Bible college and meeting my now wife and a really good season in vocational ministry.
We use the word ministry, and in the master's program, what we're trying to do is fold in a belief system that says ministry happens everywhere. It's not a hat you wear, but rather something that is a way of being in my business, my family, my marriage, and in every mission that God might invite me into. It's service to Him. So you were in vocational ministry, and now with what you're doing, do you see it differently as an executive coach now than where you were when you were working for a church?
Well, it's a great distinction because as soon as you start saying that, I go, hang on, I've got a language gap here. My language should have been, I was paid by a church to help make sure church runs. But truthfully, no, Jeff, I think about the people that I get to serve right now. I think about the pastors that I get to come alongside and work with. I think about people who work in sales roles but are pursuing relationship with Jesus and the work that we get to do now. It's impossible to separate that side of you from what we do with our hands Monday through Friday or all the time or whatever it is. Because I think God invites us into giving that part of us to him as well. And so when that's part of the equation and that's part of your role, whether it be in sales or running the company or leading a team that might have nothing to do with church, man, is there so much ministry opportunity in that. And then to your point, you fold in the coaching aspect and getting to help someone expand or pull the lid off of or start to mind beliefs, or like you just did for me, hey, interesting language you're using around ministry. What a gift that space is. And so, yeah, absolutely. There's so many wonderful kingdom moments that get wrapped into it.
So you came up through executive leadership in the church before moving into coaching, which you're doing now. What did the world of leading in the church teach you about leadership that you couldn't have learned anywhere else?
I'm glad you asked that. I was having a conversation with someone. They were ministering at our church over the weekend, and he just said, y'all went through a lot recently. And I was a part of Hillsong Church, and we went through a lot over the past several years. And so, man, when I think of what did I learn, I stepped into roles when I was young and thought I knew a heck of a lot more than I did. But there were sides of me that were cut off. There were parts of me that had to learn what it meant to lead with principles, not just preferences. Man, when I started in a number of roles, I had no desire to lead with curiosity, and I thought judgment was the fastest way to get anywhere. I remember the day I encountered coaching, and I had approached a great man named Larry, and he was an organizational psychologist who served kind of in both worlds as an executive coach, but also had a license to do therapy. But we were getting ready to hire 2 people in church, and we had gone through all kinds of challenges, moral failures, and there's documentaries and there's media stuff, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong for a little while. And I remember coming to him and saying, we're about to hire 2 people. If we get this wrong, this is going to be worse. We can't handle worse right now. And he said to me, hey, that sounds like a coaching topic, not a therapy topic. I think you need coaching. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but whatever. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. And so I said, let's do it. Let's try it on. And immediately our relationship shifted. And the best image I have was it was almost like instead of him helping me find language and words to make sense of the pain I had experienced or what I'd gone through, he started putting weight on me. He's like, hey, we're just going to try loading a little bit of weight. Now do the squat again, Luke. And I would have previously said, I can't squat anymore. I can't lift more. I can't do more work. I can't handle anything else. But this experience was like, I have not done that in so long. I've not had a win in so long. I've not felt confidence like this in so long. And he's starting to load agency and responsibility. And how will you know you hired the right person? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, what if you did know? What would it look like? And he's asking me coaching questions, and I'm having this experience like, what in the world is this? And to fast forward that story really short, I took the clarity that I gained from one conversation into both interviews with these candidates, and we hired them. And they're still on staff to this day, doing a phenomenal job. And I remember leaving that moment going, I'm not exactly sure what coaching is, but I'm going to go find out. And this will be a tool that I use as a leader for the rest of my life in some way, shape, or form.
Wow, how powerful to have had that conversation and really open up the world of possibilities when maybe it would have been easier to have someone sort of spoon feed you some consulting answers. But instead, he sets you up for an ability to find the answer and then to own it and drive it to a place of success. That's extremely powerful. And I'm connecting to something you said earlier, because you use this phrase of removing the lid on themselves, of people. Was that an experience that you're speaking of where you felt like the lid came off? What does that mean? Can you unpack what it means in practice to help someone remove the lid on themselves?
Yeah, I think I would have gone into my conversation with him with a belief that I don't know how to hire, a belief that I'm young and I'll probably screw this up. And I had some data points for that. So it wasn't just foolishness, probably some belief that like one more thing and the whole church is going to implode, like we can't handle it. So the notice is that I had all of these beliefs that were informing behavior, and those beliefs were not leading to behavior that was resourceful or productive or helpful to me or our church or the team or the ministry that we were doing. And so sitting in a coaching environment and having someone ask me questions that were connected to a vision of helped me see where I was actually the one that was in my own way. So we mind the belief right away. Luke, do you not know how to hire people? And I'm like, I don't know how to do it super well. And immediately I start coming up with, we would screen them. We would contact their previous employers. We would probably do some assessment. And by the end of it, we had this plan on how far this would go, on how successful we would be. And yet in one conversation with someone who simply is asking questions, I leave with, wow, that wasn't serving me at all. And what would it look like to hire great people? And the frustrating, beautiful part about that, Jeff, is that every day we tend to find a new lid. And so it's not like I'm free and I'm done and I have no more limits on my life. We're humans, so we love safety and we love protection. And it's just turned into a joyful experience now going, man, I wonder where there's something holding me back that feels scary like a monster, but really is just something to live through and something to learn through that's going to lead to something so beautiful for myself, for my life, for my marriage, for our ministry, for teams, for people, for clients, wherever.
It's beautiful, Luke, because it leads me into another important question, because I know that you work with individuals and teams, and that includes dynamics of solopreneurs, ministers, global aerospace companies, and just sort of a large amount of shapes and sizes. But for your work in this kind of space that you're describing, is it the same across every type of person that you're working with, or does the scale of their challenge grow, or does the scale of their challenge change your work or make it different?
Great question. I think I would say different for sure because we're humans. And so I'm thinking of one client right now who is young and gritty and loves the Lord. And for him, I could change my beliefs in a day. I'm probably wrong about everything. And somebody else who's in his late 50s, early 60s leading a church, and there's just a different area of focus. I don't think it makes one super like, oh, that's a business person and this is a minister, or this is someone who's in it for a profit or a revenue statement, and this was someone who's in it for people. Like, we are humans. And so a lot of the fears creep up in the same places. A lot of the beliefs can creep up in the same places. We don't like to look bad, but when we start to just get curious around where we might be in our own way and what we might be capable of with a little more ownership, we start to see unbelievable things happen. I'm thinking of a pastor who's leading a church that's over 100 years old right now, and he's been entrusted to be responsible for vision of the past or the fruit of the past while also carving out vision for the future. And he just found himself in a place where he was like, I feel stuck. People don't want it. And when we started to just uncover why some of those beliefs were there in him, he came into our session last week and he goes, hey, this work is informing my preaching, like the way I'm sharing the gospel, the way I'm showing up to meetings, the way I'm leading staff. And there are things that I would have said I thought were going to take 6 months that have taken me 3 weeks.
Wow. So the outcomes that you get there, walk me before coaching, after coaching. So what does a leader's thinking look like before they're getting coaching versus after? Who are they before? Who are they after?
That's a great question. I don't think I can be definitive in a statement of what that looks like. I think it's one of the coaches in our firm that says it when somebody asks him, what's going to happen through coaching? And he just says, something's going to happen coming into coaching. And I would say this was exactly the same way for myself, or before spending a lot of time in a coaching environment. I was way more judgmental on myself and how I should be performing. I was confident in the stories I was telling myself. This is how this will unfold. And if I do this, this will probably happen. And I see that in leaders all the time. And the way those things unfold can look a little bit different for everyone, and depending on their personality type and their background. But some of the patterns I see during coaching or after coaching is way more curiosity around how things are going to unfold, loads more confidence in, hey, I don't know if this is going to go perfect, but I cannot wait to go find out. Separating certainty from confidence. That's huge. Hey, I'm not certain about how this is going to go. Great. Just what would it look like to go confidently? And watching leaders walk that out is a thrill. And certainly starting to step into things with some curiosity around, I wonder if I haven't seen the extent that I'm capable of yet. I wonder if I haven't seen the extent of what God would entrust to me yet. I wonder if I haven't seen the end of God's faithfulness yet. And starting to live in that space produces so much resource and so much life and so much growth and so much fun and so much peace and oftentimes fruit on the other end.
That's awesome. Luke, for me, I crave certainty because, hi, my name is Jeff and I'm a control freak. I crave control and I'm fighting against being in control and having certainty. And this is what I'm discovering in our work together is that me wanting certainty actually limits my capacity, capability, and outcomes
Mm.
because I got to play down to the things that I control, or I fake that I actually tell myself I'm in control when I'm not. And so this battle is something that I've experienced. And so as you're talking about that, I keep thinking, no matter how much I know that truth, that clarity is better than certainty, that confidence and trusting in God is the X factor to what I'm going for that's beyond me is the move rather than just bottling it up into I've got this and I'm going to be able to get it done. And I want everyone else to believe that this guy can get it done. It's a challenge for high performers, I think.
Yeah, totally. I love even the way that I do the exact same thing. It's like, super crazy admission coming. I like control. Who doesn't? And what if, man, what would happen in teams and organizations and companies? What would happen amongst kingdomized people if we were quicker to admit that and saw that not as as a blemish, but almost like oh yeah, that's right, I'm human. And the good news is that because I'm marked by a desire for control and I can learn to be okay with that really quick and learn to be disrupted in that area, man, what could the Lord do? And it's probably somewhat due to globalization and the scope of which we had access to things and the presentation of success in so many areas via media or whatever else. But I think of scripture and I go, man, what incredible act of God came with great certainty outside of a word or a promise or a pile of stones or whatever else. Yet I find that in business, it's like, let's be stewards and yes, that's good. Or let's be careful. And it's like, yes, that can be wise. And doesn't mean we take maybe nuclear risk, but what would we step into? What would we walk into? What would we trust God with if we were confident that he was going to be with us and confident that we haven't seen remotely close to what we're capable of or what he wants to do?
Come on. That's great. I love what you're saying there because it's the encouragement that I need to hear and remember all the time is as we like to say around here, faith is spelled RISK. And so what kind of risk could be there and gap between where I'm at and where I'm moving towards in my vision? And so well said, Luke. I love what you just said. Like what great thing happened in scripture that had certainty attached to it other than God said it, so I'm supposed to do it. But the clarity still was just do the thing I told you to and move towards this thing and how it's going to unfold. He's in control and I am not. But that's the great challenge of me and my flesh for all of my life.
What a beautiful thing if that could become normal. To say, hey, like, this is a challenge for me. Like, just to be clear, like this, everything that I'm doing right now, there's times that it feels scary. There's times that it feels uncertain of whether I'm even going the right direction. What if that was normal? But then connected to that was, well, good, we have each other and let's go at it together and let's link arms and let's be okay with that. And another reason that I've just fallen in love with this work and both experiencing coaching, but also getting to serve people as a coach, because it's hard to do surgery on yourself and it's hard to see some of those areas in you when you are living in you. Someone said it's hard to read the bottle from the inside. So, Jeff, I think of moments that you've asked me a powerful question and I've gone, oh, I didn't even see that. And I'm still not certain about it, but my confidence has changed.
That ability to get feedback and be journeying somewhere with a coach is really what I want to unpack here, because I want to demystify it. So let's talk about some of the things that you find in this process in your work as a coach. So you get to work with high performers.
Mhm.
So what's the pattern that you see in high performers that surprises people? Something that looks like a strength on the outside of the bottle, but is quietly limiting them. What's something you see?
Yeah, well, it starts with the title, doesn't it? The title high performer is like, yes, I did it. There's so many things that cascade from there. Some of the common ones I see, high performance asks the question fundamentally, how do I be the best? And I think there are areas of our lives that can be a helpful question. If you are running a race, and you have a vision to win that race, high performance in that specific race might serve you. But if you are committed to a life of athletics or a life as a runner, and your only question is, how do I be the best? What else might you be missing out on? What if we haven't even defined what's possible yet? And so embracing the spirit of competition, in some areas I think can be helpful, but if it's becomes a meta narrative over our lives, then I think it gets in our own way. High performers can be both at the same time very successful but incredibly bored. Like this is going well, but it's not, I'm not alive. I'm not feeling like connected to something deeper, intrinsic in me. You get a bunch of high performers in the same room and that same spirit, especially if they're on a team of how can I be the best, can lead to all kinds of clashes because it can come with judgment and among other things.
That's interesting. Just the words, thinking about judgment and how, as I get into comparison and start to rack and stack, where do I fit in the pecking order of this group that I'm in? I automatically start to assume things, and all of those comparisons are rarely resource or can often lead me down places where I get trapped, lose my joy, and don't see the beauty of we and the collaboration that can happen of being for the people in the room. And it's a beautiful, like, I'm going to be an extravagant contributor here, and we together are going to find something incredible in the outcome. So that's where the team and the we comes into this for a high performer to be, as we talk about, a meta performer. So let's talk a little bit more about the work of coaching and how this works as you work with leaders. A leader comes to you and says, Luke, I want incredible outcomes from this coaching. What does that mean in real terms? How are they going to be able to define and measure an outcome for their investment of time and money to be able to go after it with you? How do you help them understand what they're really getting or signing up for?
Yeah, great question. And I think in the when the word or the sector of coaching comes into conversation, I think there could be a number of ways that goes. I'll speak to what we do as Novus Global coaches. Jeff, it starts with a thrilling, clear, compelling vision. And so what that means is we want to get really, really specific and clear around what you want to be true in 6 months' time, maybe 9 months' time, maybe a year from now. And I love the word that we use, that would thrill you. Not better, not okay. What would be thrilling and occur to you as impossible if it were true? And so we say things like better leader, more peaceful, more congruent, I want to have more reach or more impact or more income or more sales or whatever it is. And those things can be great indicators. But what we want to do is pull that into specifics. Hey, what would the evidence on the earth be that in 6 months' time you are a better leader? Hey, it would mean we have 5 more people on the team. Okay, great. Now we're getting specific. And so we have to have a clear, compelling vision. It is the GPS coordinates in the car before we hit go on this journey. Otherwise, we will use a lot of energy and potentially not end up where we want to. And so the coaching starts just as we are clarifying that vision. There are huge notices around, wow, I never thought of that, or no, that is impossible. And I get to sit there and go, what makes you say that? Well, this, that, and the other. We start to notice the things that are in our own way or in their way, and resources being created. But it starts with that compelling vision.
And that's an ROI, right? A return on my investment with you is to say, okay, if I were to invest time and money towards that outcome, that vision, seeing it come true would be worth this. And it makes sense, right? Because now I'm believing for and have someone advocating for a vision that's thrilling. And truly, when I find that specific thrilling thing, it's then okay. And when that comes true, what's that worth to you? And I think you've got a pretty clear ROI statement there for somebody trying to consider, should I do coaching to get to something beyond me?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the language around that, an ROI, because you're exactly right. If you are, especially if you lead anything, if you're going to invest hours of your month and any kind of finance in coaching, well, it should produce an ROI that is an easy yes. Something that would be, yeah, absolutely. If that were true, I would absolutely invest in it, both my time, my energy, my headspace, my finances. And Jeff, one of the questions we ask all the time, because the truth is we cannot guarantee those outcomes. The client has so much say in the resource and in the value that's created in coaching. It's like in the gym, I can't get under the squat rack for somebody else, just like Larry put the weight on me. I can't lift the weight for them. But one of the indicators of a great vision is sometimes I'll ask this, hey, if you didn't hit that sales quota, but you got close, would who you have become along the journey, would it be worth it? But you got really close to it. Is who you became as we go on this journey and we go on this arc of coaching and growth. Was that a worthy journey? And when the answer to that is yes, most of the time we have an awesome vision to go pursue.
You know, oftentimes around here when we ask the question, who needs a coach? We tell them, hey, anyone that says that they don't want to relive yesterday over and over again and believe that the future could be more than they've ever experienced before. Um, what do you think that high performers need in a coach to gain what they're hoping for? What should they be looking for? What do they need from a coach?
Well, I start by saying this, never ever hire a coach who doesn't have one. Because if you are committed to a journey of growth and transformation, it would be a gift to yourself to work with a coach who's also on that same journey, because that's going to lead to beautiful resource for you and all kinds of transformation that happens in the coaching relationship. There's a couple of things that I look for when I'm hiring a coach. Number one, is this person a little bit disruptive to me? Or am I like friendly I tend to be a little bit warm and I tend to like being around warm people. I'm not looking for a warm coach. I'm looking for someone who's going to be a little bit disruptive and a little bit like, oof, that's jarring, yet enough trust there because it leads to great resource. And where I might be in my own way, I mean, I would say commitment to the vision. Is this a vision that you are pursuing with the right person? That would need to be a part of it, because in the coaching relationship, there are going to be plenty of moments where things get challenging. And there are days that even on my calendar, I see my coaching call coming and I'm like, oh, I would rather do other things, but I'm committed to this because I'm ready to hit the gym and I want to grow, and I'm committed to a version of myself and a vision that I haven't seen fully realized yet. And so a coach gets to serve you in a really beautiful, powerful way with disruption, maybe pointing out some blind spots or inviting you an inquiry around some blind spots by inviting you into commitments. What are you going to do by when? And what does your functional integrity look like? We use that word a lot. Integrity, like not morally, but like a bridge. When you know a building is safe, you're going to walk in because it has integrity. Hey, the same is true when we are giving our word to something or committing to something. And a coach is a really, really powerful way to support you with great integrity. And it's a brilliant way to get from A to B to C faster than you thought possible.
So, which people get the most that you work with? Which people get the most from a coaching engagement?
Sometimes I'm still surprised when I'm coming in with a client. I've got two avatars coming to mind right now that are actually clients of mine. One that is in a really significant, high-powered role, and one that is a brand new entrepreneur building something from the ground up. And they've both had absolutely transformative experiences. Less to do with their role, less to do with the weight on the bar with coaching, less to do with, hey, for this brand new company, if the whole thing goes under, that would really be painful. But this is a global company, and so there's going to be different impact. They both had transformative experiences, and I'm the same coach. And so I would attribute that to the way that they have shown up to coaching and the passion for the vision that they have clarified. It would be like going to the gym and hiring a personal trainer and saying, hey, love to be here, love this work. I'm just not committed to lifting any weights today. And you could spend the money, you could spend the time, you could do all the things and see no transformation. But if they're committed to lift some weights and committed to growth, they're going to see transformation.
I talk to Christian business owners every single day, and almost all of them feel it. A gap between the success they're chasing Monday to Friday and the significance they're praying for on Sunday. They have a successful business, but not a significant one. They're leading a team, but they feel alone. If that's you, I want to invite you to something different, not to another conference, a catalyst. It's called the Priority Gathering. It's a 3-day immersive coaching event here in Dallas where we will help you close that gap. We'll give you the clarity, the plan, and the community you need to build a business that truly matters for eternity. Stop feeling stuck. Click the link and join us this April. I can't wait to see you there. So, Luke, you said something earlier that we really believe that coach that doesn't have a coach is probably not going to be able to serve you. You have to wonder, are they really going to be able to serve you? So, being that you're being coached, can you tell us, what are you still working on in yourself as a leader?
Fortunately, nothing, Jeff. I've
You're all
got it.
done.
Yeah, I've graduated.
Woohoo!
Um,
Celebrate.
no, that's such a fun question because I just had my coaching call with my coach on Friday. And I brought this topic. One of the questions he'll always ask is, hey, what's max value for our call today? And I said, I really need to get clear about vision for this part of my practice and what I'm doing here. And he said, great, what are you thinking about? And I told him kind of, hey, this many clients at this rate, at this number, in this way. And he goes, are you playing small? And I was just like, no. Like my desires to be right about something or look good are starting to kick in, and we just unpack that. And he goes, man, I feel like I've seen in you is something totally different. Am I wrong about that? And he neutrally provided great feedback, but what we identified was because of some fears and because of some blind spots in how I was operating a few things, I was holding back and didn't want to take a risk, and certainly didn't want to tell anyone about the risk. Like, I definitely don't want to, even now, I'm like, I don't want to tell the podcast what my vision is because I'm like, what if they judge me? But noticing that and coming back to, hey, I have not graduated yet from having some gaps in me. And yet in one conversation, I walked away with a different pathway, a different commitment, some blind spots and some fears that I noticed in myself. And already today, I had my first coaching call at 7:30 this morning. It's producing fruit.
Hmm.
And that's a joy.
Isn't it incredible, like, how fast this can actually work? I mean, I get to sit in with my coach for 20 minutes this afternoon, and I got incredible value. But 20 minutes time, you think, well, I'm used to, and sorry for the comparison, a psychiatrist, right,
Mm.
where I'm going to be in there for at least an hour, maybe two, and it's really about time because it's just going to take that much time. But in the coaching world, although we're not typically limited to 20 minutes, I get value in 20 minutes that moves me in the right direction. It's an incredible way to adjust. Whereas, a coach, is working on your future, your vision, the compelling place that you're going to. Counselor is working on your past and trying to heal and or rewire some of what you're saying about the past and believing about the past. But for a coach, there's so much quick value that moves the needle in such a short amount of time. It's amazing to me. I don't know if you have the same experience, but it's just blown me away how quickly coaching can make a difference.
All the time. And Jeff, you bring up a great point, because I think both can be both in service to each other in really beautiful ways. But the pace that transformation happens when we're not expecting it, or again, the beliefs, this is one of my favorite moments to sit in with clients, and they're going, oh, well, that will take forever. And I just ask them, how long does transformation take? And especially as people who are following Jesus, it's like, well, 1 second and 70 to 90 years. And the answer is yes.
Mm.
But getting to explore that with a coach and getting to sit in that work and go, I thought this would be a pattern in me forever. Or I thought this would be I thought this would, when I'm 50, I'm over this. And I'm going, oh, it changed last week. Or in clients that set visions, this happened last week with a new client, awesome guy. And he had set a performance outcome for 6 months from now, and he hit it a month and a half in.
Awesome.
I had no idea. And I'm like, I had no idea. I didn't want to tell him. I was like, I didn't believe that you could do this either. But the beauty of transformation and the pace and just getting to be surprised by that constantly, and especially for leaders, when a leader transforms and the fruit of that transformation starts to work its way through an organization, and all of a sudden team members who don't even know the person, they might not even have contact with the C-suite, are receiving the benefits and the fruit of coaching from one person on the team having a transformation. And that I just find that's a difficult thing to put clear price tag on, or it's a difficult thing to really quantify. But man, what a beautiful, beautiful result of this work.
Luke, I sincerely believe what you're saying, so much so that I really believe that it could change the world, that it could change the world of work, the world of family, and ultimately the world of the body of Christ, who, if they lean into this, what could happen. And that's mind-blowing, exciting, and part of why I love doing this work with you. Luke, it's a privilege to know you, to be your friend and brother, and I'm really grateful that you came on to be with me today to talk about this.
Pleasure is mine, Jeff. So grateful for you, and grateful all the work this ministry is doing and the impact it's having and the fruit that's going to create. And I can't wait to see what's ahead for y'all.
Before we close, I want to make sure you know about the Priority Gathering featuring Jason Jaggard, founder of Novus Global, the same firm that Luke calls home. If today's conversation lit something up in you, imagine what a room full of that energy could do. Go to theprioritygathering.com for more information. Hey, what I hope you heard today is that the lid on your life isn't permanent, and more often than not, you're the one holding it down. Luke reminded me that the gap between where you are and where you're capable of going isn't a talent problem or a resource problem. It's a faith opportunity. And that's actually good news, because beliefs can change faster than you think. You don't have to figure that out alone. Let me pray for you. God, I pray that today's discussion is one that created impact for us. Lord, I'm asking for revival, the ability to see more people know you and follow you. And that through people who would advocate for a vision, for leaders who love you, Jesus, that there would be a new outpouring of your Spirit to so many people who will stand up and share the gospel. Thank you for this time with Luke. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, glad to be here with you. We'll see you next time.